Welcome. I'm Janelle Kolaski, a career mindset coach and actor.
And I'm Amanda Dubois, a self-authenticity and prosperity life coach and actor as well. And we're your co-host of Mindset Artistry YouTube channel,
where we teach you the art of discovering and using your mindset
to build a career and life you desire. Welcome back to Mindset Artistry Podcast. We have an incredible guest of 20. We had the honor of meeting Wendy Braun. A round of applause because we're so excited. Yes. So let me tell you a bit about Wendy. Wendy is an accomplished actress who has enjoyed a dynamic career and recently appearing on not one season, not two, not three, but 4 seasons of the celebrated Netflix series Atypical, as well as guest appearances on This Is Us, Grey's Anatomy, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and Criminal Minds, and dozens more hit television shows and feature films. With over 80 TV and film credits and over 100 commercials and, thousands of voiceovers, wow, Wendy has also combined decades of invaluable professional experience with her passion for inspiring and empowering other creatives. Now, Wendy is not only an amazing actress, she also is a breakthrough coach, global speaker, and the CEO and founder of actorinspiration.com. She was recently featured in Forbes, which bow down. Yes, that's amazing. For her game-changing success has transformed the lives and careers of creatives in over 25 countries. And her powerful guided meditations, which I have to say I've listened to her meditations before and I felt zen because her amazing voice. If you haven't, you should. And her visualizations have helped thousands of people overcome obstacles, turn their big dreams into reality, and create new levels of success, joy, and fulfillment. And her students include series regulars, Broadway performers, and award-winning stage and screen actors, as well as directors, producers, writers, and entrepreneurs. So let's welcome the amazing, accomplished, dynamic actress, Wendy Braun. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you so much. It's so nice to see you guys and hear you guys and be with you. And thanks for having me. I love it. Thank you.
Yes. I mean, like I said, you came to my mind when we started this journey because Janelle and I, we both attended your class back in 2020.
Yes.
And we were, and with our other friend Tokyo, and we were just like floored by your presence, by your energy, and the fact that you were doing something that I personally hadn't seen up until that point, which was an actor being also a life coach that was informative, inspirational, and really accessible in a way that was encouraging. You know,
I love that. Yeah, I mean, look, and we all had really divine timing meeting in person. I did like an international tour in January of 2020 and to meet you guys like in person in that way. Yeah, you know, it's just, it all sort of evolved over time, but I love that you say that, and to be empowering and uplifting and inspiring to creatives is as much my part of my journey as it is to be a creative and be an actress. And I think you guys are, you know, doing that as well. We're all kind of realizing we all have many gifts to share, and it's time anyone listening to this tune into whatever their heart's calling them to do, you know? Yeah.
I love that. We love it. And it's so helpful. I mean, and it's so funny. Like, I remember meeting you, and, you know, my brother has autism. I don't know if you remember, I cried talking to you about this.
I remember. I do remember.
I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I was like, there's a voice for this population that I've always been fighting for them to have a voice. And that's a whole different conversation. But that's the beauty of storytelling, right? Like, it can connect all of us. And so many actors, you know, they have a passion for that, but they often struggle with a lot of the same things, which is so beautiful about what you do, because it's like everyone's like, I'm struggling alone. And then everything you teach, you're like, you're not alone. So what do you think most actors and creatives struggle with in general, or even as the new year begins?
You know, I mean, Happy New Year to anyone who's listening. And if you find this in June, then happy middle of the year. I feel like anytime, you know, every month feels like a new year to me, because I like to reset, you know. And, you know, I think a lot of actors sometimes, or creatives, models, entrepreneurs, all of your listeners, sometimes they start out the new year feeling like hopeful. And then a few days in, they like feel anxious and lost, right? I think that can happen, you know, any day of the week. The first thing I want to say to that, no matter when you're tuning or seeing this, if you're feeling emotions come up. I think what's helped me over the years with my anxiety or any anxiousness is that whatever emotion comes up, can I send love to that? Like, let's just start out the year with like, what if we all did that more often this year? You know, so then there's no wrong emotion. Like, you know, I think a lot of people start out the new year and feel like they're hopeful and then they feel bad when they feel bad. So like, that's like a shame sandwich, you know? It's like, we don't want to feel bad for feeling bad, right? It's okay. Feeling an emotion is information. And if we can send love to that, then that's, you know, then you can get the clarity, right? But I think most actors begin the new year sort of struggling in this way. They're frustrated, right? Because they're spinning their wheels and they're not seeing results. And maybe they did all the last year. They're often feeling overwhelmed by their to-do list, or as I like to call it, the should-do list. I don't know if you guys, I often have a should-do list, and my son, I have a 12 and 14-year-old sons, and the other day I like shouted something out to my husband from my office, like, yeah, I should something. I said something, and my son was like, not should, mommy. Like, he knows we don't call it, we replace should with could. Like, I could do the long list of things, but I think so acknowledging that sort of should-do list is sort of a good place to making a list of all the things you think you should do that feel really heavy, and then realize I could do them. So they're an invitation instead of like an obligation from a weighty place of, I think so often we look at what everyone else is doing and we're like, oh, I should do that. Well, does that light you up? Because if it doesn't light you up, it's not going to lead to whatever they have going on anyway. Do you know? Do you guys feel that sometimes? Like, I don't know if in your own work or other people you coach?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I personally feel that as I was closing out 2023, I felt that there was a lot of things that I could have done or I should have done in my career, or I could have done for myself. And what I found in is so synergy that's happening right now, because as December closed out, I was really focusing on the love. And it wasn't just about love from other people, but it was what type of self-love was I giving to me? And how did that evolve from January 2023 until December 2023? And that required a lot of healing, a lot of recognition. And even for my clients, I had a client who was really into finding romance in their life. And I was like, well, how about finding romance like from other people? And I said, well, can you create romance for yourself? And they were like, what? I never thought of that. And I'm like, yeah, because you have that power to do that. And I thought that was so incredible. And so to me, self-love has been a big topic throughout 2023. And how did that show up for me? And how was I not valuing my love? And did I actually know what love was?
Oh, that is so good. That's like that's a whole other episode too. Really, I could go into that, but I love, what you taught your client too, because now that I've been married for 16 years, I realized I was at that point when I went through like a horrible breakup before I met my husband. And I realized very much like maybe your client was realizing, or you're teaching her or him, I have to be the love. I have to give myself the love that I want in my life. Right. And it really goes in any area of business or personal. It's like whatever you're going after, you have to actually become it. So then you don't actually need it from the outside world. And so it sounds like your journey has very much been on that, and that you teach it too. Like, we're teaching what we learn, you know, that's all how all of this came about, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Think,
1,000%.
Yeah, I was thinking, well, the shame component is huge, because I think that is the biggest thing, is blocking me from booking, because I would prepare my audition, and I'm very analytical, and I care about craft a lot, and I play two instruments, and I dance, and it's like da 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 da.
Right.
You know? And then I would find, you know, and I can be very creative whenever it's like, oh, everything's riding on this, and I have to get this job. It takes all your creativity. And so I would do the audition, and then if I wasn't able to hit it, or the person that was helping me with the audition wasn't getting what I was trying to put across, I was so hard on myself.
Yes.
And, speaking to shame on top of feelings like, yeah, even last week, something bothered me. And then I felt shame on top of that. And people were like, hey, you're feeling bad enough. So, I mean, yeah, I love that point. And it's counterproductive. I mean, and taking massive action can be counterproductive and all these things.
Yes. Two things one thing is you're talking that just I so relate to is being a dancer. I'm a former dancer as well. And I think when you have a dance training background, you are literally taught that no matter what position you're in, it can be better, right? There's there's a reaching for perfection. And as a dancer, it's really helped me in the acting world because a lot of times, blocking is choreography. It's like, okay, hit this, right? So it's helped me to know how to move my body, but the letting go of the perfection has been huge because the perfection robs you of your creativity. Absolutely. Look, I think taking massive action, I think a lot of actors, they sort of start the year with a big, and we're taught like, take massive action. And I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan, but a lot of times you get busy doing more, but you're not creating more success or happiness in your life, right? So there's sort of an old school, it's a very masculine method of like doing, like make it happen and hustle and work harder and just push the boulder up the hill, right? But sometimes, and I noticed this along in my career, it's how I came to these teachings is like, as I was pushing so many boulders up so many hills, or maybe you feeling like you have to get this right, that it's a push energy, right? Who walks by or does something that like they seem so like effortless and it's all working out for them. I'm like, why am I working so hard over here? And that roommate or friend or spouse or someone, it seems like they're not working nearly as hard and they're like booking all the time and everything's like landing in their lap. And you're like, the reason I think taking massive action can be sort of counterproductive as the new year begins is this. It's you got to take a step back and notice where your efforts are coming from. So I always like to say, when my efforts are coming from an energy of frustration and doubt and lack and pushing, they won't actually result in success. And weirdly, it's the letting go that feels so hard at times because you guys, I feel like you're like me and like, I'm a recovering type A doer. Like I need a list and I'm like, I'll get it done. Right. And so I've had to learn the balance of the masculine side of me is like, give me a list, do it. We're getting it done. Like what's the solution? Right. And it's sort of the feminine side of like allowing, like the allowing side when you're used to being the one creating is like, what? And here I create meditations and it's only because the other side of me wants to be the calm, cool, allowing side. But then the like enthusiastic doer, I balance both of those sides. And I think that's why when people see me live or come into my programs, it's like, I'm this energy, but then you turn on my audios and it's like, let's bring it down, So it's just because I'm trying to, incorporate the full circle. Like we all really have both of those energies and it's about which am I allowing and how can I allow the sort of relaxing, letting go energy, the surrender side, because the pushing the boulder, it's exhausting and it actually doesn't work. That was like a really long answer to like what we're talking about, but I think hopefully it comes full circle.
It does for me. I'll say that like certain words like surrendering and allowing were big words for me in 2023 as well. It was allowing myself to surrender to the outcome that I have no control over.
Yes.
Which is really difficult as creative beings because we want to do all these things. We're multi-hyphenate and multifaceted people and beings that want to express ourselves in so many different ways. And we have a distinct vision of what or what that like relationships is supposed to look like and what it should look like and it could look like.
Yes.
You hold on to things so tightly that if we do, we actually limit our gifts and our talent, and we also kind of dismiss our journey and the growth that could potentially happen throughout that process. And that's surrendering. And so as I'm thinking about the massive changes and choices and going into 2024, before we start this journey of hustling hard, what are some questions that actors could ask themselves as they start to get into the work, or maybe looking for new reps, or you know what, I'm going to start doing more workshops and meeting casting directors?
Yes. So you're in the right place too, if you're like a recovering type A doer, or if you're still a type A doer who's like, I just need the list. What's the list? How'd she get all that stuff done? How'd she get in Forbes and all those, credits? What'd she do? I just want the list, right? And that was me in any class I took. I'm like, just give me the list. I will do whatever you tell me to do. I just need a to-do list. So here's what I say to that, to all my people who might even have notes while listening to your beautiful podcast. Before you get busy doing in the new year, I'm going to give you 4 questions you can actually ask yourself, and it'll create a breakthrough. And the first question, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not, what am I posting? Okay. It's like, has nothing to do with that. So I'll be happy to know. But the first question to ask yourself before you get busy doing, or that should do list, is who am I being? Right? Oh, look at you, like literally with your notebook. Is who I am being and what I am believing today in alignment with what I want. Now, I'll tell you right now, it's so much easier to just be like, well, I'm just going to do a bunch of casting workshops. Like, okay, yeah, being whatever. Like, it's really easy to dismiss that, and it's harder to teach. And I think that's why people love my teachings and my programs, because I break down how do you do this, right? But who am I being is the first question you want to ask. Is who I am being and what I'm believing today in alignment, right? And then, what am I thinking? Are the thoughts I'm thinking in alignment with what I say I want, right? So it's backing up. There is doing part of this, but we'll get to it. So it's, who am I being? What am I thinking? What am I saying? Is the story I'm telling, or the conversations I'm having, or the posts I'm posting, or the reactions I'm reacting to online, what am I saying? And is it in alignment with what I want, or the goals I've set for the new year, right? And then number 4 is, what am I doing? Most people will start out the new year with just the doing, and they'll start doing more, and they're going to be exhausted, and it's like a hamster wheel of like, I just keep doing, or the boulder, right? And for me, it was when I stopped all the doing, which was really hard for those of us who've learned to like achieve and mark the chart and check the boxes, right? To back up, to really look at, you know what? I'm not even going to do anything today, perhaps, but actually the biggest thing I'm going to do is look at, who am I being? What am I thinking? And what am I saying? And the funny thing is, you guys, as you know from doing our work together too, is when you focus on shifting the first one, who am I being, all of the other things shift in a powerful way. Whether it's the gal looking for love, it's like, instead of just going out and like trying to date, it's like, well, who am I being? Who am I bringing to the table? You want to book some giant job this year. Well, instead of just trying to get the agent and instead of all the doing, it's like, who must you become in order to be on a series? Because guess what? There's people who book a series, and as we've seen, it's like, it's a spiral downward because they can't handle the success, or their mind, like a lot of stuff that if you don't have that house in order, the like, who am I being? What am I thinking? What am I saying? Which you get to write the script for all of that. Like, we're the writer for all of that. So I think that's a powerful place to begin, and a scary one, because most people would rather just do more than look at that, right? So
Yes,
I think it begins with that conscious awareness,
Yeah, it changed everything for me when I finally did that. And I don't know if you remember this, but I think I don't know, you were posting something about your meditations, and then I responded in the Facebook group like, oh my God, I listened to this 4 times today, which sounds so funny, but my negative self was, for so long, I think I had to do like a year and a half of just putting other people in my head, because it was too hard for me to really believe that, because I've been living that story for so long. And so that's why everybody, if you haven't had Wendy's, programs and meditations in your head, it's like really part of the process. It changed everything. And then the roles I found that aligned with me, which is really funny, is I kind of found that my TV type is this very waspy, kind of like pretentious, kind of like a person that people doesn't like. And I had to work through that block because sometimes in life people receive me that way and be like, well, what's the matter? You're an actor. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. So finally, but I was like,
right. No, but that shadow side that you're like, I don't want to be seen like that. Even though if I cast you, it's like, put this girl, like, you're gorgeous. And there's going to be some stuff with that, right? Like how you get cast. But go ahead. I love this.
Yeah. So finally, and then I was like, just, somebody I had said, Janelle, that's your rapper. Okay. Like, it's all right. He's like, just please. He's like, you're going to book. And then I was like, yeah. And I also had the opportunity to work with these actors, and they always have this thing. And you have this too, where it's like, they just glow and they take up space without trying, but not in a negative way. It's just, you guys, you're like inside really meets your outside. And so I started thinking, like, in my auditions, I'm like, you have to completely explode. Like, you have to, the actor that's working all the time isn't like, sorry, thank you for the audition, and like, I would love for this dream to happen. They're just like, here I am, but not in a negative way. And that really changed things. And also bringing my actual quirky personality into these characters that might be kind of mean. And then that's when I booked, because they're just, and I was like not caring anymore. Like, if the people like getting the job, it was like, I don't care whether or not you like my art. This is my interpretation of the character. Book me or not. And now it's been a lot better.
Yes, I love that. Well, let's back up a little bit, because I love that you were willing to do the deep dive of like, who am I being and all of that stuff. And that you actually even just stated, like, I actually couldn't even tell myself that for so long. And that speaks to such programming that we have that sometimes we're so unaware of. And it's so courageous that you could dive in deeper and go, I can't even speak to myself like that, because it just, I will just laugh at her, because she would never say really nice things, because I've spent so long maybe taking care of everyone else. I think we have that in common a bit, of like taking care of others and making sure they're okay, that we're used to being like, I'm fine. I mean, I grew up with like, somewhat similar of a situation where it was like, if someone else in the house is special needs or any needs or emotionally needs something, or a parent, what's a parent or sibling, the child and often the performer then just steps back and says, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't need anyone, right? I will handle it. Like, that's where I'm fine, because I don't want to be a burden. I'm just going to go perform. I'm going to find that empty space on stage where I can be all of me, because right here, there's like not much, there might not be as much room for me, because there's a lot going on. I don't know, that goes back to that. So whatever programming we're sort of with that, the narrative that we sometimes not even realizing it are speaking to ourselves, for you to look at that is just amazing. And I'm so glad that my work helped you do that. And then to realize, okay, this is my rapper. This is how people see me. Rapper, we're saying WRAPPER. Right?
Yeah, like I can be a rapper.
This is my outer exterior shell, but it's not all of me, And I just want you to know, like, the bold energy that you might think I walk into the room with, it came from many years of not walking into the room like that, right? And it came from a lot of time of being like, I won't take too long, or what, and figuring out my own way to go, wow, this is not serving me. And that's a journey. So like, it evolves along the way, but I love this conversation. I think you guys are amazing. And I love being here.
Yay, thank you. I could definitely appreciate that and sharing that too, because as creatives, I can say that I had a similar journey to Janelle, but in my version of it, where, I was constantly at home. When I was younger, I had to suppress my emotions. So I was not welcome to cry or express that I was angry. And it wasn't intentional, but it was something that I witnessed my parents do and everyone else do, like, get over it. It's life. That was a big thing, get over it, it's life. And so I didn't realize, and unbeknownst to me, I took that with me as I got older. And then it really limited my vulnerability as an actor and a storyteller. because I would block the emotion. I was afraid of crying in right. Well, I would cry, but it wasn't a real cry. It was like, oh, I could force myself to cry because I wanted attention, but it wasn't authentic and true to whatever the character was going through. And then I was faking it until I made it. And for a really long time, I had major insecurities with my voice because I struggled with expressing myself.
Right. Yes. Wow.
And so I love that you touch on that, because I think as creatives, we can feel shame about our journey. And for a long time, I was like, why am I going through this lesson again? Or why am I reliving this? And why am I not getting this? And all the whys.
Yes.
And not recognizing that it's serving the growth that you actually want to be, like that, asking that alignment, like you said, that alignment.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's so, look, we think we're going out to like perform but this work, as much as it is outer, it's such an inner game work. I feel like as actors, we're like spiritual warriors, we're creative warriors, and we get knocked down. We have to go deep into the layers of our own self. And I think the best actors are really sharing a piece of them that, you know, I do feel like it's what you think you need to hide that is your gold, right? So whatever you think isn't going to be enough is like, will set you free when you start sharing that. Like Janelle, you were saying, like, I started sharing my wackiness. Like, maybe your thought is, who am I to be wacky? Because I look this certain way, or I play these certain characters, and they're so, you know, perfectly put together. I played a lot of perfectly put together characters myself in a totally different way. But once I realized, like, oh, you know, I can embrace the shadow sides of myself, you know, or you, Amanda, embracing, you know what, it's safe to have an emotion. Like, oh, that's a scary feeling, right? Where you're like, it's safe for me to have an emotion. And I always feel like when we learn so much from growing up, you know, positive and negative, but when you are not allowed to have an emotion, it's usually because just someone in the house can't or doesn't know how to handle their own emotions. So like as a mom, I'm a mom of two boys. If I, you know, and they see me have all kinds of emotions, you know, like they're not emotionally repressed. I don't think I'm like, hey, you got to feel it. You got to face it and feel it to heal it. Like if anything, they'll quote me. They're like, I know, I'll cry, you know, whatever. I've got two boys. I'm like, cry it out, baby. Let's cry it out, you know? But to really allow whatever comes up. I think it's funny how this is really the root of our conversation. It's like an emotion is to be energy in motion. And so it wants to move through you. So I think this year, if people could be kinder to themselves along the way, right? All of us, even though we're leading the charge here in our own unique way, I still have plenty of moments where I'm like, well, you're not blah, 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 or whatever it is, right? You know what? If my only goal in 2024 was daily to be kinder to myself, and then also to take more risks, and then also to like get really comfortable being uncomfortable, there's your recipe for success right there. Kindness, uncomfortableness, and just stepping outside the box. You know?
Yeah, that's a good way of transitioning into a new year. And then how, because I love that we're talking about this movement, this emotion, this energy. So how can we get into, you know, this acronym, the flow, and then change our point of view as we are approaching this new chapter, I would say, because I feel like, you know, every year is a new chapter or a new book, whatever you want to put your analogy on there.
Right.
Analogies, maybe it's a new road trip. I don't know.
Right.
All the things, whatever works for you. But, you know, how can we get into the flow and change our point of view throughout this?
You know, I love acronyms because to me, they're like super easy shortcuts for your mind to redirect your mind. So I'm almost like a kindergarten classroom teacher this way, or I see myself that way as like, I just want it to be easy and like a 5-year-old could get it, you know? So I think it's all about perspective and point of view, right? So we always hear about like actors and musicians and athletes being in that flow state, you know, and I'm sure you guys have felt that where you're like just in the flow and like the time disappears and you're just in it, right? Those auditions you've had or those performances or those times on set. where you're just in it. And when you are in that flow state, we can't take our eyes off you, right? It's why I love watching like the Olympics or football or whatever, right? It's like the people who succeed at it are like they're in a state. So here's what they're not doing. They're not like worrying if you like them. Can you imagine like getting the ball running towards the like, not finish line, goal line, whatever. I'm talking like such a chick right now. I watch a lot of football, but I can't think to, anyway, and being like, oh, I hope everyone likes me. Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, they're just going, right? They're not trying to prove themselves. He's even an actor, if you see them on stage or on screen. Okay. So flow, my acronym for the word flow to help you get in a flow state is feeling. That's the F. So if you wrote the word flow, FLOW, down on a piece of paper, feeling love overflow within. I just got goosebumps because that's going to really help someone this year. This way you're filling up your own cup. You're not needing anything from anyone else. That agent, the workshop, the casting director, you are in a flow state. You are feeling love overflow within. Before I got on this podcast, I feel that within. And then, yes, I send it out into the world. But then I am being, as we talked about, the love. Then you're being the love and you are compelling in that state, right? And you shift. What it helps you to do too, it helps you to sort of shift from the critical mind, which is always going to judge, and you just tune into the expansive heart and you just share your gifts from there. Then they can be like messy and you can say scream when you meant screen or like whatever. You can mess up and you can just be you and you're just sharing from the heart. Then it's like, we love you because you're showing us that we can do that too, authentically and vulnerably and powerfully. Like, your superpower is your authenticity and your vulnerability. Right?
Oh, that really.
That's some deep. I was like, she's in my brain. No, I just said yesterday, like my new intention for 2024 is really like, along with that, like, really making sure I'm creating space for like, it's not just supposed to be self-care, it's supposed to be self-love. Mm-hmm. And I do get rocked a lot. People are like, don't care about external validation. Da, 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 da. The thing is, everything we say as coaches and anything you see on those bumper stickers, and Amanda knows I like to call it a bumper sticker saying, right. You're like, cool, now what? Like, you're right. No, it's just, it's a journey to get there. Like, I feel like finally now, like it was hard enough for me to get to self-care land. Now, and right. Amanda's really good at this and she helps people with like inner voice and self-love. Now I'm finally like, that's scary. And it's a lot of speaking kindly to myself. And it's so easy for me to love other people. But then we kind of talked about how we're caretakers and like this transactional thing. So I'm like, why does it bother me if I've been very kind to somebody for so long from a genuine place? Right. And then all of a sudden they just like snap, and then other people, that doesn't bother them as much. And I'm like, oh, because it's like, this is all I have to give. And my safety is in your court. I can't be safe unless you accept my kindness. And then you're just giving our power away. And, we're meant to be interconnected because, we're human, but still lesson, life. So that's my intention. I was probably the one that needed to hear it.
No, I love it. And too, you guys, like, I want everyone to know, like, no matter what shiny, bright, Forbesy post you see on Instagram or wherever, every single one of us is on a journey daily to tune down the noise of the critical mind and just tune up the expansive heart. I feel like that is daily my work. Daily. It's not like I got to some, I love, like you say, like self-care island. It's not even like I'm on some like success island that is everyone here is only feeling success. Like the minute you get to some, as you say, external validation point, what usually happens, you're like, oh, what's next? Oh, that's fun. What's next? Right. Which is great. We're always expanding and evolving. And I'm all for like giant goals and big breakthroughs and like all that shiny, bright, fun stuff that you actually came here to live. But I'm also all about like, how much fun can I have along the way? right? How much love can I flow myself? And then how much, like, when I'm in that moment where I'm like beating myself up, I always say I'm going to make like sock puppets, literally. Like, okay, so here's what you do. You like, I'll probably make them eventually, but you put one on as the inner critic and you're like, oh, you suck, whatever. And then you put one on as the inner champion. The inner champion's like, I don't even know what to say to you because you rarely let me speak. And then you start talking to yourself like this. And it takes all of the BS like outside of you. And you're just like, I am literally talking to myself in sock puppets. I know anyone listening to this might not be able to see.
No, I'm doing it.
What the heck I'm doing,
Best
but
idea ever. I'm doing
it's a fun exercise. That it would be like inner critic, inner champion, and be like, who's the loudest voice in the room? Which, because you're doing it all, right? And it seems so truthful when the inner critic is like, you kind of suck and don't know what you're doing, and everyone's going to laugh at you. The inner critic's like, or yourself is like, I know, I should stop, right? It's like, it's not true.
Yeah, we always talk about that. And
yeah,
I love that, the inner critic, and we're always going to affirm the thing that we're most fearful of. We're always going to. And what I recognize, like, we're always going to. And I'm if you lived with me, you would know how crazy I sound, because my friends have caught me having conversations out loud. I'm like, Amanda, who are you talking to? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I just heard you talking. Who you I'm like, oh, no, I was talking to myself.
I love it.
I don't know I'm doing it, but it's something because for so long I stopped myself from speaking out loud that now I cherish that within me. And so it's a part of like the thing that I was so scared of is the gift that I'm meant to share. And I tell people that all the time.
Yes.
I'm like, it's your gift. It's your superpower. Embrace it. That is something you need to overcome because it's one of the most powerful things you can share that's uniquely yours. And you talked about breakthroughs. And I think, that's one of the things that we have to recognize within ourselves and in our career. And as we're, getting ready to wrap up, one of the things that I guess propelled this journey for me as a life coach, and I can definitely say for Janelle too, is that we attended your workshop and you gave us a sense of, for me, for sure, a hope. Hope. You gave me a sense of hope that I didn't have to stick to this particular regimen that I was taught to do with this career and like work hard and break your bones and break your back. Don't take vacations. Forget about just keep going. And it's like you really tapped into the reality of pause, take that alignment. What is your inner voice saying? Like all these things. And I'm so grateful for it. And I know that you impacted myself. And every time we think of you, I get excited and like have a smile on my face. And even our friend Tokyo. And I remember that day, all of us sitting there, like, I don't know what to expect. What's going to happen? Who's this? Blah, blah, blah. And we were talking amongst ourselves. And, but like, we're amongst our peers and actors and like, oh, and, so thank you for creating community for us as well. And, I can honestly say you imprinted on my life, even in that first, encounter.
Right. The free experience. I love it.
And then I joined your course after, which was amazing.
I love it. So many things. Well, first of all, I'm grateful. And I've had so many actors find their way to me that also want to do other things. And so many people told me that my course is so not just for actors, just for any creative. And so a lot of other creative types have found their way to me as well. And I'm just glad you did at the time you did and that we're reconvening now, I have definitely, it's been an amazing ride. I think the one thing I did want to share with you guys was just, and anyone listening, is the point of view you can take on for the rest of the year that will, I think, speak to maybe what you learned that first day, but we dove even deeper in my course. So the word view, these are two things I wanted to share. The word view is basically the I am statement is the most powerful statement you can say, and whatever comes after us. I guess it speaks to you speaking in your bathroom and your roommates being like, what are you saying? Right? So we'll give you guys, your listeners, 4 I am statements that they can speak in their bathroom or wherever they're going or walking into that next audition or about to write an email to some agent. The word view, to me, the view I have of myself. I am valuable. I am intuitive. I am enough. And I am worthy. So that's VIEW. If y'all treat yourself that you are valuable, you are intuitive, you are enough, and you are worthy. And you really pause some of the doing and align with that energy, the intuitiveness. That's how you guys got to even this place. The intuitive energy of like, let's connect. And it feels so good to like, let's do our podcast. And that's all intuitive energy that's like birthing out of you, right? But so often we're busy in the doing and we don't even hear that. We don't even hear the intuition. So I guess I want to just maybe end with that, or not end, we don't have to end, but I definitely want to get that in, that people really just write that out. I am valuable. I am intuitive. I am enough. I am worthy. And then allow that to guide your year. And are you bringing people into your world that are treating you as such? But you have to treat yourself that way first, you know?
Yeah, I love all of that, because by treating yourself, you tell people how to treat you. So
Absolutely. Yes.
Say that all the time as well, and you just teach them how to teach you, how to treat you, how to love you, all these things. And when you are intuitive with who you are, you value yourself, and all of those things, you, like Nell said, you walk into rooms full.
Yes. You're not seeking as much. It's not the seeking energy. It's the giving energy. It's right. And when you're in the giving space of, you first gave that love to yourself, that viewpoint to yourself, now you can show up and things just start to happen, as you guys know, and look, It takes some work. Like in my guided meditations, it takes some listening to things like Janelle did for 3 times a day. Like it takes that. I feel like the inner work that people don't see is what creates all the bright, shiny, stuff that you do see. It's that inner game first,
And Amanda, I was gonna say what Amanda's really good at is, I think, because that whole like teaching people how to treat you, it's almost like you have to like lead people by example and show them how to treat you, because it's like kind of like I got stuck in like telling people like this is what I need, but I wasn't giving it to myself. So I'm like, what's happening? I'm like treat me this way. Like I'm being very vocal and I'm setting these boundaries. But it's that whole thing of setting boundaries with yourself, and it can be very scary. This is the whole self-love thing, and be like, well, gonna give it to myself. Like, how is somebody else gonna know how if I don't even know how? And it's a process.
It's so good, you guys. You're both so insightful. Like it's all of this. Like this, what we're talking about is like the core of the artist journey. Like it fully is. All of this. This is, to me, the most important conversation, aside from like, because when you do this work that you're talking about, of like, you're saying like, I want people to treat me a certain way. Oh yeah, I guess I have to treat myself that way first, right? That's exactly what I've done along the way and learned to do by not doing it and then realizing yes. But it's doing that you get the guidance, and the resources appear, and the people and the answers, like all of the stuff that everyone else is busy looking for the doing list, it comes to you, right? Like in a more intuitive, organic way, and then things flow easier. So I'm all about less hustle and more flow, and then more ease and joy and fun and fulfillment from there,
Yeah, I love that. As we wrap up, and we'll hit 2 more points, is how, because you're talking about the flow and the point of view, and what can actors ask themselves, or even just implement today, a small thing they can do to make and create real breakthroughs as they move through this year?
Yes, I think it's really about stepping back and realizing the solutions I am seeking are not in my angst. They're in my alignment. And then seeking out time throughout your day to figure out what brings me into alignment. Because checking my phone is probably not bringing you into alignment. It's making you more anxious. Study shows like anxiety, depression, like comparative envy, all the things. Like, so what is bringing me into alignment, I actually just created a deep sleep guided meditation, because they say that the last 5 minutes before you fall asleep are actually the most powerful time of your day to sort of reprogram the subconscious mind. So a lot of actors, everything I created came out of people saying like, well, meditation just feels like worrying with my eyes closed. I'm like, I know, me too. Like, yeah, I meditate. Okay, I needed the grocery list. And, so aligning became, well, if I record guided meditations and listen to that, that'll be easier than me trying to just quiet my own mind, which really is not that easy. So anyway, I would say the solutions you are seeking are not in your angst, they're in your alignment. And if you want help with that, my free guided meditation, you can grab it. It's at actorinspiration.com/sleep. I'm actually going to give you guys two, because maybe someone's like, I sleep fine. It's during the day that I have anxiety, right? So there's a guided meditation called Creating Success While You Sleep. That's at actorinspiration.com/sleep. And actors are loving it, or creatives are putting it on before they go to bed and actually like waking up feeling refreshed and confident. But then if you're having anxiety during the day, I created this actually during the pandemic, you guys, and thousands of people have said, oh my God, I felt better in 15 minutes than I have all year. So like, instead of checking your phone, you'd play this guided meditation. It's called Easing Anxiety and Improving Well-Being, which if you do that, then the answers come clearer. And that is at actorinspiration.com/ease. So I just want to give some gifts of people who are like, well, how do I do the alignment thing? Like, I don't know how to align. That's where everything came out of, is my monkey mind type A brain was like, I don't either. Then it's like, well, what if I sat down in my voiceover booth and talked from the most loving place? What would I say? And that's where like all of this is birthed out of.
It's the voice. It's the voice that catches me every time.
It's my inside voice. Look, yeah. I've been told I'm too loud my whole life. And so now I'm like, okay, I'll go whisper in the booth and then be really loud in person. Yeah, and I'm hoping to show people that meditation isn't like you need crystals and like, you know, a pillow. Like meditation can be you cooking. It can be you taking a walk. It can be you listening to one of my guided meditations. It doesn't have to look like a certain thing that we see. I'm trying to demystify what maybe I don't want to say stigma, but how people see it, that it's like crunchy granola thing. But more that it's like, no, it would create world peace if we all aligned a little bit more every day. And then we went out in the world and we were being the ripple effect of love that we just created within ourselves. That's really how you can create breakthroughs in 2024 and beyond. Be a beacon of love and light, right? And go out in the world from that place, you know, which is a daily practice. And I get off all the time and then I have to realign. So, you know.
We all do. There's different stages and different levels that we have to approach and get through. And then speaking of free, can you share your virtual event that you're going to offer our listeners today?
I am so excited because I am kicking off the new year doing an empowering success breakthrough experience. It is a totally free 5-day virtual event, and it's really designed to help creatives just release those blocks from the past year, right? To reimagine what's possible, and then to learn the exact steps to making this your best year yet. And you can join the party. It will be a virtual party at actorinspiration.com/best year yet. And I think you might have links in show notes or wherever you have links, or go find me at Actor in Spirit on Instagram and I will have links there. But I love doing it. I'm really excited. You guys are like my first big announcement about it. So it'll just help everyone sort of eliminate overwhelm and have a blueprint for just creating real breakthroughs in a way that provides success, joy, and fulfillment. Because I think for me and everything I teach, it's all about all of it. It's not just the success, it's the joy and fulfillment that I think has been the missing piece in a lot of teachings out there, you know? So why not have more fun along the way?
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I mean, Amanda and I are always talking about that because you don't know. I just tell people, if you have the desire, the dream isn't with reach. And that's that's the only thing that, like, because I started out as a model and like, I'm a size 8, 5'8", and in 2005, that was super weird. And I really didn't have a place. And I'm glad there's so much more space for people now. But like, I literally seemed crazy because I would like go to agencies and they're like, no, you're all wrong. And I'm like, but I feel like I'm meant to be a model. Like, I don't understand, you know, and I wasn't some like super popular kid in school. I was like the clarinet playing, Irish dancing, competitive book reading girl. I don't know.
God,
so
I love it.
Totally divine. Right. So I
Right.
just love all that because it's just, you don't know. I think if you have a dream and you keep going, it's definitely going to happen for you, but you have no control over when. All you can do is like keep showing up and having a good time. So, right?
Yes. Yes.
Life.
And look, I think whatever dream anyone has, it's who you have to become to live that dream. And so who you had to become was like super comfortable in the skin you're in, even amidst the no's, you know? And maybe I'll just end on this idea of like all of the success that you want is really comes from you mastering the fine art of dealing with disappointment and rejection and failure, if you want to even call it that, over and over again without sort of letting it define you and derail you and defeat you. And I think that's where you'll meet success. If you meet anyone successful, it's not because they didn't have failure and disappointment and rejection. They just got up after getting knocked down again and again. And I am a testament of that, you know, it's like, and the no's you had that you're like, okay, but I feel it in my heart. I got to keep going, you know, that's it. That's that intuition. That's that going, I am valuable. I'm doing this, you know? So yay.
Yay. Oh my gosh. Wendy Braun, everybody. Oh, this has been so much fun. We had
So
such a
much
great
fun.
time. Thank you so much for coming on. And I like, this has been amazing. I'm going to listen to this 100 times before we even
Oh my
post
God.
it. I'm going to like edit it and be like, yes, yes.
Oh,
So-
you guys, I love it. I love you both. It's been awesome to be so connected with you, to have you as my students, and now you're helping other people in the world. I love it. Like, we're all here for the joy and the love and the light, and you guys bring it. So thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. And we'll see you next time.
Yes, bye.
Yes, yes. I'm gonna come live around the world again.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about this episode?
Drop it in the comments and let us know what you want to dive into next.
Subscribe, like, share, and click the link below to book a free consultation. And
We'll see you next time.